Welcome to General A&P. In this video, I'm going to discuss the course Blackboard site and how to navigate through the course Blackboard shell. So when you log into Blackboard, this is what you're going to see. The announcements are going to be posted under the Announcements tab. The first announcement that's posted here will help you get started with the course. The syllabus is posted under the Syllabus tab. So here you can see the syllabus. You will click on that blue link and you'll pull up your course syllabus. Pay special attention to the center of the syllabus where there's the schedule and it has all the due dates listed, exactly what's due, and that helps you keep on track with everything in the course. It also details like my office hours and some background information about the course, some general information, as well as the course format. So there's a couple different ways that you can be taking this course, whether you're taking it completely online or if you're in the hybrid where a majority of the course is online, you just come to class for in-person labs. Either way, that information is going to be provided to you in the syllabus. If you are in the online only section, you will have to attend a mandatory week 1 orientation meeting virtually. If you're taking the hybrid section, then you have to just come to class on the first day of class. So you have to do one of those two things to avoid getting dropped from the course. Under the Textbook Information tab, you're going to find information about the course textbooks that are required. So there's two things that are required for this course. The OpenStax Anatomy and Physiology textbook. This textbook is free. You don't have to pay for it at all. So this is a link to it right here. Otherwise, when you go through the learning modules, there are links to each one of the individual chapters within the learning modules as well. If you want the hard copy of the textbook, then you're going to have to purchase it, and that is available at different websites and that type of stuff. You can purchase the hard copy of the textbook. I believe the bookstore may have a couple copies of the hard copy of the textbook. So if you want a physical textbook, there are options for you to purchase a physical textbook. Otherwise, I really like the digital version of the textbook because it allows me to search for terms and then go to the sections of the book that talk specifically about those terms. It's kind of like a really user-friendly kind of website that allows you to look for different types of things. So I prefer the digital version. And the next thing you need to have for the course is Visible Body courseware with the apps. Visible Body is our virtual lab interface. So if you're taking this course entirely online or if you're coming to campus for lab, either way you're going to have to purchase the Visible Body. Visible Body gives you virtual dissection tools. So it's like a virtual cadaver. You can dissect away parts. You can add parts back that you dissected away. You can rotate the model. You can look at all different organ systems, microscopic views of all the different tissues. It's really inclusive, and there's a lot of different things that you can do with it. We will be completing all of our labs, no matter what the format you're in, whether you're in an online or a face-to-face lab. And we will be using Visible Body for those labs. So you definitely have to purchase Visible Body and make sure that you're using it to help you complete your lab activities. There are two options for purchasing Visible Body. You can purchase through the bookstore or you can purchase directly through Visible Body. What you're going to do to purchase is you're going to click on the link to join, and when you do that, it's going to ask you to register. Register using the exact same information you registered with for the course. And then it'll link a little bit more easy to the gradebook. It will then ask you to enter the code that you purchased at the bookstore, or it will have you purchase a code right there. It is a little bit cheaper to purchase directly through Visible Body, but if you want to use financial aid money, then you're going to have to purchase through the bookstore. Instructor information is under here, so if you're interested in learning more about me personally, professionally, my background, education, that type of stuff, that's listed there, as well as my contact information. Now we're going to go through the learning modules. So there's directions for completing the learning modules. Reminder, all assignments are indicated in red, and they say the word graded in the title. Supplemental items. Supplemental items are optional. These are additional links to websites, videos, labs, all sorts of different stuff that will help you succeed, not only in this course, but also in other courses. So if you're interested in looking at any of the content in there, some students have found it useful. Nothing in there is due, assigned, or essential for this course. So if you don't ever look at it, it's not a huge deal, but some people like the additional information. And then you can see the learning modules. So there's a pre-work module. This pre-work module should be completed before the first day of class. What you have to do in the pre-work module is follow through the directions here. So review the syllabus and textbook information. Watch the welcome video, which will be posted right down here. Watch the using visible body video, which is this video here. And then you will do the training for online science course PowerPoint and accompanying quiz. Many of you have never taken an online science course before, so this just gives you some tips and techniques for being successful in an online course. If this is the hybrid section that you're enrolled in, it's still going to be helpful because the majority of the course content is submitted entirely online, including all of your tests. So that's going to help you be successful as well. Then we have the laboratory safety training materials. So in order to meet the competency of safety in the laboratory, we have to train all students in the laboratory. So there's safety training and then an accompanying quiz. So if you're coming to campus for physical lab, this will be really helpful. If you're not coming to campus for physical lab and you're just doing it online, this is still meeting the essential competency that we have to cover for the course. So either way, you have to do it. Both of these quizzes are unlimited attempts, unlimited time, so you should all be able to get 100% on those quizzes. Additionally, in order to avoid being dropped from the course, you will have to attend a week 1 orientation meeting. If you're enrolled in an online course, this is going to be handled via Zoom. So you'll have to go to Zoom at the time that's listed in the orientation meeting information, and then you will log in and we will discuss the course. The purpose of that is to make sure that you can access Blackboard and to make sure that you can access Zoom, because you can't really be successful in an online course if you can't do those two things. If you're in a hybrid course, your orientation meeting is the first class period. So during week 1, we will meet physically for lab, and you just come to that meeting, and that's when we'll do our orientation meeting. Going back to the learning modules, each of the remaining learning modules is structured in an identical way. And you see that they're broken down into 14 different learning modules, and each learning module covers one of the major body systems or organ systems of the body. If you're enrolled in a standard 14 to 15 week course, then you get 1 week to complete each learning module. If you're enrolled in a condensed 7 to 8 week course, then you're going to have to complete 2 learning modules in a week. So it's the same identical content, it's just, you know, you get half the time, so you have to go through twice the amount of content in that time. Each learning module begins with a patient scenario, and then there's directions for how to complete the assignments. You'll see that there's lecture assignments, lab assignments, and the module tests. For the lecture assignments, you want to start by downloading the study guide. So you're going to click on that, you're going to download the study guide. A lot of students like to print it out and have it next to them while they're reviewing the course content. In order to fill out that study guide, you've got a couple options for doing that. You can read the textbook. If you click on that link, then it'll take you directly to the virtual free version of the textbook. Another option is to watch my lecture videos. My lecture videos are all voice over PowerPoint, so the PowerPoint slides are provided here, and then the videos are here. These PowerPoints are not inclusive of every single definition that you need to know, so you cannot just watch or read the PowerPoints because they won't make sense. I write certain things on them, but none of it's going to make sense unless you actually listen to the narrative behind it. So you really do have to watch the videos. Reading through the PowerPoints is not going to be enough. So your options really are read the whole textbook or listen to all the lecture videos. You can't cut corners and just listen or read through the PowerPoint slides. So you can see that this is broken down into different parts. So part 1 you should listen to first, and then there's a supplemental video that supplements the content in part 1. Then you see part 2, part 3, part 4, and then there's a supplemental video that supplements the content in part 4, part 5, and then you have another supplemental video, and then there's this crash course YouTube playlist that you can review. There's some videos on homeostasis and anatomical terms in that playlist. So after you have filled out that study guide, there's a Quizlet that's provided for you. Quizlet is free flashcards, and those flashcards are created with the terms and definitions from the study guide. If you've never used Quizlet before, you just click on this link and then it'll take you to my stack of flashcards. If you don't have a Quizlet account, you're going to have to create an account. It's completely free to create the account, and then once you create it, you can just continue to log in and use all these Quizlets that are provided to you. A lot of students think that they don't have to study for this course because it's an online course and it's open note and they'll be able to use all of the notes. And even if you're in a hybrid version of the course, all of the tests are still completely online. So people feel like they don't really need to study. But that's really not the case. This course is super intense, and every single thing that you learn in this course will be used in future courses, in your career, in your program courses. So you really do have to study all of these terms, excuse me, and learn all the terms up front. If you cheat yourself now, you're not going to be able to be successful in the future, because in the future, everyone's just going to expect that you already know all this stuff. There's not going to be time for reviewing or going back, so you're really going to hurt yourself if you don't learn it now. So take the time, learn all the stuff, memorize it, actually click through the flashcards and study. You need to spend a lot of hours studying for this stuff and memorize these terms so that you can be successful, not only in this course, but also in the future. For your lab assignment, there's directions of how to complete the lab assignment. So for this lab, you will review these study materials, and then the labs are completed in Blackboard. So you'll click on that, there'll be pictures that you'll have to identify, and you just fill out the labs. These labs are unlimited attempts and unlimited time. So they're designed like a test, but they're not really like a test. They're completely open note, unlimited time, unlimited attempts, so that you can keep practicing with these to learn the content better. So that's the goal of these. They're to kind of help you learn the content and reinforce the concepts that are presented in the lecture, and then learn the anatomy identification stuff. So you will have to complete both of them. I did break it into 2 sections. Sometimes you'll only see one lab listed for the lab content, and the reason why I broke it into 2 is because this one happens to be a pretty long one. So instead of having you have to retake the whole thing all at once, you can master one section and then master the second section. And then we get to the module tests. So each module test is based on what you learned in either the lecture content or in the lab content. So the lecture test covers the stuff that's in the study guide, and that's, you can see how many questions. This one happens to be 32 questions. It tells you how long you get to take it. And then for each one of these, you're allowed 2 attempts, and your best attempt counts. For the anatomy ID, that's going to be the stuff that's covered in the lab component. So again, it tells you how many questions, 15 fill-in-the-blank anatomy ID questions. You have 20 minutes to take it. You need to make sure that you spell everything correctly, because Blackboard will automatically mark it wrong if it's not spelled correctly. So you get 2 attempts, and your best attempt counts. The first couple modules don't really use visible body too much, but then when you get to, let's go to like module 4, for example, the endocrine system. You're going to see it's set up in a very similar way. You've got the introduction, the lecture assignments, and then when we get to the lab assignments, it's going to give you some instructions to go to visible body. So you're going to go to visible body and complete the lab assignments that are there. Let me just pull up visible body. And this is what you're going to see in visible body. So there's supplemental, optional, never graded practice lab activities, and those students have found helpful. Sometimes they like the additional labeling practice. And then there's some informational stuff, some organ systems overview content. And then it really starts here with Lab 2, cellular transport. And when you go here, cellular transport is just some information. There's no like anatomy ID or anything that you have to do. And then when we look at Lab 3, you can see that there's some information, a practice quiz, and a graded quiz. So in addition to completing the lab in Blackboard, you also have to complete the lab activities in here. These are graded. They count toward your total grade in the course. Whatever grade you get in visible body will be transferred over at the end of the semester into your Blackboard gradebook, and that will count toward your laboratory grade. So you want to make sure that you are working through this stuff, doing your dissections, manipulating the models in here, and working on the graded stuff. If you're taking this online, this is 100% independent. You do it all on your own, and you work toward completing all of the tasks that are assigned. If you're enrolled in a hybrid section, you're going to be coming into class to do lab. So you will always want to bring in your laptop with you so that you can work on these practice quizzes and graded quizzes in groups and talk to each other about them. And then you're also going to be doing dissections and looking at the classroom like physical models to help reinforce the topics. And in addition, we'll be reviewing some of the course content and that type of stuff. So whether you're in person for lab or online in lab, you're still going to need access to the visible body courseware. So then here's the lab report that you complete in Blackboard. Again, remember you have to complete the lab or the graded quiz in visible body, and you have to complete this lab report in Blackboard. And then the module tests at the end, just like with Module 1, like we talked about. There's anything that says graded on it and that is in the color red is something you have to do. So going back to the learning modules, at the end is the final exams. There are 2 final exams, and they're both cumulative. There's a final lecture exam and a final lab exam. For the final lecture exam, if you are enrolled in an online section, you will have to use Respondus Monitor. The purpose of Respondus Monitor is just to make sure that the person who's enrolled in the class is the person who's completing the class. In an online section, I obviously don't get to see you each week, so in order to confirm your identity, we use Respondus Lockdown Browser to do that. So there'll be additional directions. You'll have to download that browser, and then you go into the browser and enter the exam through that browser. If you're enrolled in the hybrid section, like what you see here, in the hybrid section, I'm confirming who you are every time that you show up to class. So you're coming to class for lab. We don't need to confirm your identity, so you don't need to take it using the Respondus Lockdown Browser. If you do have to use the Respondus Lockdown Browser because you're in the online section, I am not worried about whether you're using your notes. It's still OpenNote. You can still have all your resources. The only thing Respondus Monitor is being used for is to confirm your identity and to make sure you are the person that's taking the final exam, because I wasn't able to see you in a synchronous session or anything. So you can still see or use all your notes. I'm not going to be too picky about that, and those directions will be provided to you. The virtual meeting room contains a link to my Zoom room. If we ever need to meet at all during this semester, you're just going to click on that link, and that's how you'll meet with me. My office hours are going to be listed there. So each semester, my office hours are going to be a little bit different. So you want to make sure you read what's actually in your course shell's Zoom link. If you need to meet with me outside of my office hours, you can always email me and schedule a Zoom meeting. Email is the best way to contact me. When you click on the email through Blackboard, and you email me through Blackboard, then it automatically brings with your section number. And that's really the best way to email me is through Blackboard, because right away your section number is included. I know exactly what section you're in, and I can answer your question a lot faster. I teach a lot of different courses in a lot of different formats, so if you send that section number through Blackboard, then I can get back to you a lot faster. If you don't email through Blackboard, if you could please just include your section number in the email, that would help me out a lot. Sometimes I'll just reply to the email and say, what's your section number, before I even answer the question. So try to get in the habit of including your section number in on your emails to me. You can email all student users if you want to pose a question to the whole class. You can email all instructor users, which would be just me, or you can email single and select users. So if you know of certain people you want to talk to in the class, you can email them through that function. Discussion board is optional. There's nothing you ever have to do in the discussion board. If you want to post questions to each other, you can. I will not be looking at it ever unless you specifically tell me, hey, can you check out the discussion board? I won't be looking at the discussion board. So it's up to you if you want to post anything there and talk to each other through the discussion board. The My Grades tab gives you your current grade in the course. So at any given time, you can look at your current total weighted percentage grade for the course. Typically, everything in the course is due on a Sunday, so Mondays are my big grading days. So Mondays, I'll spend the day grading everything, updating the grade book. So if you want to check your grade, just know that Mondays I'm in the process of updating, so your grade may not be exactly current on Mondays. Student resources include some additional resources like what a weighted total grade is. It explains the math behind the weighted grade. And then there's some resources like how to access virtual tutoring, how to join Zoom by a computer or smart device, how to email through Blackboard, submitting an assignment through Blackboard. We don't have any of these like Word documents that we would submit in Blackboard, so this doesn't really apply to us, but it's there just in case you need it for other classes. How to post to a discussion forum. And then student services, campus resources, free Microsoft Office. A lot of students don't know that we provide free Microsoft Office to all of our students, so there's information for downloading it there. Blackboard student support, Maxient report, if you need to report anything, an incident or anything. Campus life, counseling, campus safety resources, and then student accident insurance. If students have certain accidents on campus or while enrolled in a gateway class, there are certain things that can be covered by this free insurance. So if you're interested in looking at that, you can look at that link, and then student services can help you get that insurance. And then the last thing on here is just this diversity and inclusion tab. So this tab is dedicated to boosting diversity and inclusion in the sciences. So there's additional websites and links and resources. There's organizations that you can become a part of, and there's information here to help you learn more about the topic. So if you're interested in learning about this, it's here for you to review. And if you're interested in joining any of these organizations, you're welcome to look into them. So that's basically the course in a nutshell. If you have any questions about the course, please feel free to email me. Otherwise, I hope you guys have a great semester.